All right, what's going on, everybody? Spike Shooter here. Jonas Marg is with me in his usual spot as well. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing all right. I was kind of feeling a little out of it earlier this week, just with um, shit that I've been dealing with for the last year or so. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about music and all that stuff. So, Uh, both of us have a lot of history with um, music and just loving just all sorts of various different types of genres and shit. Our journeys have gone so many different ways. So I'm gonna start out by having you talk a little bit about how did you start acquiring your music taste? Do you remember one thing, one certain band that's really started it?
Not really. I feel for me, the two things that started it were I used to go to diners and breakfast a lot with my dad growing up, and he both driving there would always put on the radio, and I liked a lot of the stuff he put on. And also when diners still had those like little working coin machine things, where you put in the money and you could pick a song and like the jukebox type things. Just sort of that. So I feel I acquired a lot of my basic stuff through that, and then spent probably a lot of my middle and high school and after years, even to now, just exploring stuff on my own.
Do you remember like the kind of music that you remember listening to when you went on those trips to the diner and stuff like that?
Uh, let's see, Def Leppard, Van Halen, Leonard Skinner, the Eagles, um, bunch of stuff like that. Motley Crue, um, just a lot of different variety, just to name some of them. And, obviously there were the big trends growing up, like Linkin Park and Green Day. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think anybody in my generation grew up without even hearing of those.
I didn't myself, especially when you have an older sister. She was big into that kind of stuff for a long time as well. But okay, so we got through that stuff. Do you remember like the very first type of music that you liked that you didn't have any sort of outside influence from like your parents or whoever you were with
Um,
during those moments?
hmm, let's see. I feel like for my music, you know how like they say everyone goes through their phases. I was
Yep.
not one of the Juggalo kids growing up. I did not listen to the ICP, and I did not paint my face black, and I did not put on 400 pounds and go to conventions.
Well, I
Um,
respect you a lot more just for not doing that at all.
yeah.
Because
Um,
I would never have guessed that you wouldn't at least be tempted, just knowing how I met you and all that stuff.
I listened to a few of their songs to give it a try to say, hey, everyone's listening to this, and I was like, man, this sucks. They're like, I can't even describe it. It's not music. It's not poetry. It's crap. It's some fat guy talking to a microphone about things that no one cares about. But
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, aside from that, I mean, I think for me, I think the first CD that I can recall getting on my own that I purchased was when I went to summer camp. I bought myself a Simpsons CD that started with the theme
Really?
song. Yep, started with the theme song, ended with it, and it had almost 150 tracks on it. Granted, like a lot of the
150
tracks,
tracks in one CD?
yeah, well, granted they weren't all
What
like
was
three
even
or four.
on that?
They had everything from like the Mr. Plow jingle to like the jingles about Ned Flanders, like just all the wholesome stuff growing up. Like if you grew up watching The Simpsons as a kid, like you remember all the jingles, and that was sort of like why I got it. I was like, this is nostalgic. This is one of the first things I'm going to put in my CD player. I listened to the hell out of that CD. Like, yeah, it's. I think I listened to it to the point where it just stopped working. Um,
Wow.
but as for music, just video game music was a big thing. I used to go to that website VG Music and like illegally download all like the Pokemon battle themes and like the Mortal Kombat soundtrack. that was another one I got early on. The Mortal Kombat soundtrack, they actually had it where you could put in a CD player.
Yep.
So I think I started with video game soundtracks, branched out to sort of techno and industrial stuff on my own,
Oh,
and
nice.
then sort of went through, looked back at what my parents had, went through like the rock, classic rock, went into black metal, which I is an underrated genre because there's a lot of like emotion to it, whereas a lot of music today, and I'm sure we'll discuss, is just crap. And I'm just big into metal and rock, and yeah, I even remember I think it was when we were at college together. I was illegally torrenting a lot of music, and Kesha, the pop music artist, actually had a techno dance album, which actually wasn't half bad considering A, it was Kesha, and B, it was some random crap I found online.
What were like some songs that you'd recommend for that? Because I remember everybody hated Kesha for the longest time. I remember one comparison she got was like she was like if Taylor Swift was like completely drugged out of her mind. But I think outside of like her big hit, um, I forget what the name of it was. What was the her big
Probably
hit?
her number one hit that everyone remembers is Blah Blah Blah, which is, I think, that had
Yeah,
that 30H band in it.
yeah.
But the album that I had, it was like remixes, but a lot of the remixes were better than the original. And it was her album, I think it was called I Am the Dance Commander and I Command You to
Hmm.
Dance, which the album name is crap, but the music wasn't half bad. Um, but yeah, just growing up, it was a lot of Casa Media Desktop, LimeWire, FrostWire, then going to
Oh my God, that's
MediaFire.
going back
Yeah, MediaFire,
long.
illegally downloading zip files and RAR files. Then I had the RAR converter to get it to a zip file, and it was like the way things were. And yeah, just growing up with that. And now it's just all Spotify. But I actually have a bone to pick with Spotify. I hate their
Go right
platform.
ahead. Go right ahead and talk about it.
So Spotify does the same shit that Netflix does. You put something
Yep.
on, then you take it off, then you put it back on, and like, guess what? Brand new album. And they'll re-put up Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory. I'm like, that's not brand new. You had that like a year ago and you took it down.
Yeah.
I had on 3 separate occasions my entire library of like 4,000 songs plus wiped. And I had like the premium thing, and I was still getting ads. I paid for no ads. I paid for premium playlists, and I was still getting ads and shit getting deleted. So I was like, this sucks.
Yeah, that's why I was never a fan of Spotify because you can only listen to like a specific number of tracks at any given time before they start piling like 2 or 3 different ads, and it just you get to a point where you just can't stand it anymore, and it completely turns you off to the service. I
I
mean,
mean, like,
I tried my best with it, but you know, you can only take it for so much before you're like, fuck this, I'm done with it. I'll just listen to the stuff on YouTube, put on the ad blocker, and that's about it.
growing up, we had like Pandora Radio. Like, what was I? Probably elementary, middle school,
Yeah.
and
Even
I
I
had
have
like
a
a
bone
thing
to pick
because
with Pandora as well because you
yeah,
can put on like a radio
I got a bunch of
station that has a specific band on it, and they'll play like 1 or 2 tracks from that band, but then the rest of the way it will just be uh, different bands that might have a similar influence, but it's not the same band. So why are you calling it this band radio station if you're just going to play other bands on there? It's
yeah, because
ridiculous.
like you look up Green Day and it's like Green Day Radio, and then I play like Holiday and then like Boulevard, and then they're like, next up the Misfits. It's like, okay, well, I
Yeah.
don't want Misfits. I want Green Day. That's why I typed in Green Day. If I wanted Misfits, I'd look up Misfits. Like,
Do they
I
even still
respect
have
them.
those band specific radio stations on there? I haven't been on Pandora in years
I
to
haven't
even
either.
know.
So I haven't
No.
been on any of them. But for now, like the only websites I use are YouTube. And for me, actually growing up, shout out to my friend on Facebook, Brandon, because he actually introduced me to Metal Tracker. anything that is from classic Leonard Skinner, the Eagles, the Beatles, all the way up to like live albums, up to like entire discographies of every artist you can think of in the rock, metal, classic rock genre. You can just download free, virus free from torrents, and I have like I think 2 terabyte hard drives filled with metal music. So that site has not let me down, and it is
That's
completely virus free and safe. Um, won't go into the whole legality thing of it, but like it's a reliable ass site, and I've been using it since I think my introduction to college in like 2010.
well, there's always going to be like these illegal streams. It's been going on ever since Napster, and it's not going to stop.
Ha!
Especially
Forgot about Napster.
no matter what they're gonna do, there's always gonna be another source that will do that same shit. It's the same thing with TV these days too. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about my ever-changing music taste and when everything started for me. So, like you, I my musical journey kind of started with family, whether it was on the radio when my dad and my mom were still together. I was listening to a little bit of a lot of stuff. Was basically classic rock, especially with Queen. I know both my mom and dad love Queen. I know there's some people that are in our circle that probably have mixed thoughts about Queen, but um, yeah, there was just mostly a little bit of classic rock. But I also have an older sister, so I was listening. Well, I wasn't listening. I was forced to listen to the likes of NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, all those boy bands. It was unbelievable. But yeah, it was that bad. But then when my parents divorced, it sort of still continued in the same path, but then I was exposed a little bit more to the stuff you were talking about, like the pop punk related stuff like Green Day or Blink 182 and those things like that. I never really dug very deep into a lot of the other subgenres of like rock music or pop until more recently. I was very surface level when it came to my music taste and what got the most exposure. I know at one point when I was in middle school, I briefly listened to a little bit of like modern country, which I absolutely regret because that stuff isn't even close to being like the old classic stuff, the stuff that you and I would think of when you hear of country music. It was more like pop music with like twangy bullshit and stuff like that. The topics were like very, very repetitive, and I honestly, even back then, it was like trying way too hard. So after that, went back to classic rock. I'd say that my favorites were Pink Floyd. I liked AC/DC for a while, even though it seems like AC/DC, when you hear one song from them, you hear pretty much every AC/DC song. Um, what else? I kind of liked Aerosmith. I liked um there was a lot of the more familiar classic rock stuff. Alice Cooper, a lot of those glam metal, glam rock stuff from the 80s weren't too bad. Um, yeah, that went for a while, and then I had a phase where I was listening more to 90s alternative rock, like the Nirvanas, the Pearl Jams, the Alice in Chains, which it works when you're in the mood for that stuff, but it's not something that you should base a whole lot of time to. Uh, I know STP I can still listen to from time to time, but STP gets a bad rep too because they had one grunge record, but people still considered them to be grunge, despite them going into mostly like post grunge. I know they were influencing like bossa nova and psychedelic rock. Oh, I forgot to also mention that I was big into oldies for a time period as well. When we're talking like the Beatles and the Who and like Motown and old school R&B from, like the Jacksons and that era. Um, Never liked disco. Absolutely didn't like disco at all. I know, but that was another thing that my mom and my sister were kind of big into, more so my mom, because she was just a big pop person. She still is in some aspects. But yeah, I remember my dad would always take me to like these free shows up in Boston when they had uh oldies X. I think it was at the Hatch Shell, if you remember where that is.
I think so.
It's in southern Boston, and my dad would take me to see like Smokey Robinson, America, a lot of '70s folk and rock acts, and as well as the old Motown stuff whenever they'd show up. And those were nice, but I think it was easy for me to lose interest in that stuff because I don't know, it was never stuff that I could really relate to a whole lot. It was just like nice, easy listening kind of bullshit. But there are some stuff from the oldies that are pretty good, honestly, for the people that are about to flame me. I know one of our old pals who I'm not going to mention because I've been mentioning him a whole lot, likes a lot of oldie stuff. But yeah, there's some stuff that are pretty good from them. But yeah, that's it. I mean, are you a big fan of the Beatles?
Um, I never listened to them much, but like with a lot of stuff I never listened to, I still can like respect what they did,
Yeah.
respect like the numbers sold, like what you were saying, country. I've never listened to much country. I went to one Keith Urban concert with Kelsey Ballerini in it, and I saw Joseph Gallant live. I don't even know like
I don't even remember that name at all.
Joseph Gallant's recent, and so is Kelsey Ballerini. Keith Urban's like country as rock, so he's not terrible, but the most part, it's like all about trucks and their wife, and it's like I don't give a crap. Like I hate country, and like I didn't like some pop is okay. Like I remember growing up, I went through that whole phase of downloading all those Punk Goes Pop, Punk Goes 80s, Punk Goes emo like albums. And then I went through a see, I never had a Juggalo phase, but I did have a Scene Kid phase. So it was lots of Dot Dot Curve, Broken Side, lots of screamo music.
Can you just tell me what is so fascinating about ICP that's gotten such a big cult following over the last 20 something years? Because I
I
honestly don't
really
see it. Is there any way, did you have friends that even listen to it?
I actually had a friend who was a juggalo, and every time I went over his house, I'd make fun of him. I would just be like, he never wore the face paint, but he'd always listen to it. I'm like, so I got another 200 pounds to gain. Maybe find some kids to prey on and paint your face black and white,
Oh
and you'll
my
be good.
God. We
Um,
have a comment actually here from Bobby Hill saying mostly industrial stuff is what he listened to when he was growing up, I believe. Are you talking about just like industrial and just sound? Are we talking about industrial, like industrial metal, industrial rock, or something like that? Because I remember there was a lot of like industrial sounding stuff like Marilyn Manson or
oh God, I don't like him. He sucks.
he had a great SmackDown theme. I'll give him that much. There was also what Nine Inch Nails, I guess, was also like industrial rock
Yeah, Nine Inch
as
Nails is a
well.
favorite. A lot of the Rock Band games and Guitar Heroes had good selections of music.
Yeah.
Um,
That I think definitely helped me find more rock bands. There was some I already knew before, but there were a lot of other songs I never heard of that I kind of got a good um a good kick out of as well. That I would
I
always
think
search on YouTube after I'm done with it.
they picked like good selections of music. Like I'd love another Rock Band game, but like I'd cringe to think what the hell they'd consider rock or rap or whatever on that. Like what music would they select for today? Like it would be
Well,
terrible.
Well, it also depends on if they're going to just pick from like classic acts or like something more modern, like was it Godsmack? I know they're still kind of popular.
I listened
What's
to a bit
another
of them,
one?
yeah.
There are quite a few that are still going on, mostly, but they're mostly in the rock stations of today. But yeah, I actually love Guitar Hero. I had probably like their first four games, and then I had like their special edition um, video games as well.
Yeah,
Never got into Rock Band though.
I had the
Never was into Rock Band.
drum set, microphone. I have like five
Yeah.
guitars. I love that game.
Well, if there's any way the camera can get this, I actually still have the drum set right here. It's all dusty and shit, but I still have it for some god awful reason.
Uh, Mine's in my closet collecting dust at the moment because no one wants to play it. But um, yeah, I don't know. There were some good games.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I grew up with. Let's see, what did Bobby Hill write?
All right. So he said Manson, like I thought, Nine Inch Nails, Rob Zombie. Oh, My Chemical Romance. Oh, those guys were big in the 2000s, weren't they?
Oh Christ, I forgot about them.
It's one of those acts that you don't really think about until someone like puts it right in your face.
I remember MTV did this show that was like one hit wonders of the 90s, and it was like the top 100 songs. It had like
Yeah.
MC Hammer, Salt and Pepper. I remember growing up and watching that.
No, I did
But
as well. Any sort of like retrospective once when VH1 was still at least attempting to be a music channel. When they would play those, I remember liking them.
yeah, when MTV actually produced music.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was like where we're going, like 35 years ago when they were
Yeah,
still shooting music videos
Headbangers Ball
24/7.
and a couple other things.
I'm so happy that you said Headbangers Ball because that is something I don't think people our age would have remembered at all. But I
No,
remember
I did.
seeing, well,
I watched a lot of it because I couldn't go to sleep. So I'd stay up, watch music videos.
let me go back to this. Okay, he also said old Maroon 5. So we're talking like maybe the first couple Maroon 5s before it just became the Adam Levine show. What were your thoughts on that band?
I never really got into them. I can respect like their music and what they've done, but I never got into them. Um, there's some bands that I just think like are overrated, like Kiss. That's a band I absolutely hate.
I Kiss was one of those bands which I kind of enjoyed listening to for a little bit, but as you get older, you kind of realize, yeah, they're kind of shit as well. And it was more of like people went to see them just for the face paint and them looking kind of badass, and the music just got worse the more you listen to it.
I'm pretty sure half of the members of that probably look like Black Rain from TNA now, just as bald and tubby. So yeah, but I
Probably.
never liked them.
Okay, we also got JRAD 316 saying, used to be closed minded and just listen to rap. But ever since I got into metal and alternative, I rarely ever go back to listening to that trash. You know, rap isn't too bad, honestly. There's some rap guys that are actually kind of listenable, especially when you're talking about 90s rap and hip hop. That I can definitely say that I like some of the stuff from the genre during that time frame. What about you?
Mm, growing up, I didn't like Lil Wayne, but he was just friggin' everywhere. Lil Wayne, Young Jeezy, Rick Ross, like every single mixtape. I remember people at our college would illegally download half these fucking mixtapes, and you just hear all this remixed ghetto ass music. Um, I never really got into them. Like Rick Ross, I'd say was probably one of the better people in terms of today's music. I'd say Lupe Fiasco is fairly good. Um, I grew up listening to a lot of Pastor Troy, like that Southern rap. There's actually a band. The only rap I really listen to now is called SpongeBoz, and it's a German band that
SpongeBob?
yes, it's Sponge and then
Okay.
Bozz. So it's German and it's people dressed up as SpongeBob or Patrick, and it's actually
Oh
decent
my
music.
fucking god.
Yeah, they
And this
actually have.
goes back to another trend I've been seeing. There's been a lot of rappers that have been starting to mention like nostalgic cartoons and stuff like that. I know
Oh no,
SpongeBob is the biggest one.
these people dress up as them, and then you've got fucking like SpongeBob on screen with a Uzi, and then
What's
Patrick
an
Star.
Uzi?
Yeah, like the people dress up as SpongeBob and Patrick and rap. They've got cars. They've got actually really well made videos. It's fairly amusing to watch. One of the people featured is Collega, I think his name is. That's
Okay.
just like they're fairly decent. Like I've been listening to them recently because they're actually not bad. Um,
Mhm.
but it's also hilarious to just see SpongeBob and Patrick on screens with Uzis, and there's like
What is an
cars set
Uzi?
on fire.
I think what is an Uzi?
It's automated weapon. It's a gun.
Okay.
Yep.
All
So
right. You learn something new every day, I guess.
you have
Uh,
like gangster ass Patrick and SpongeBob flaunting automated pistols on screen, and there's like cars on fire, and it's yeah.
Something tells me that it's only a matter of time before they have Patrick and SpongeBob holding up something gun-like or something on the show because they're starting to get absolutely worse with that show. Oh, and Bobby Hill wanted to say that Boyd Rice actually mentored Marilyn Manson. If you didn't know that,
I did not know that.
but yeah, I also should tell you that there was another phase that I went through when I was at my second college. You remember the second college I went to, man? I was trying to. I wasn't even trying to have a good musical taste during that time period. So I went on an indie pop, indie rock, indie folk phase where I was listening to a whole bunch of shit like Mumford and Sons, um, Nathaniel Radcliffe, a lot of like indie dance, indie techno related stuff. That was just horrible, absolutely horrible. And I had a radio show where I played a lot of it. I think I still have a few CDs of my air checks from that one too. And I bet they were just awful.
Well, I remember our college there was the big Lady Gaga trend going on, and
Oh, don't remind me.
I it sucked.
Yeah. J Rad also said the only type of rap I like is some conscious stuff like Tech Nine and Hobson, but I can't stand mumble or trap rap. I remember trap rap was the biggest thing of like the early to mid 2010s. Like it was like all over the Billboard charts and it was completely unescapable.
Yeah, Eminem's still going to be one of my all-time favorite rappers. I think I've listened
Uh,
to everything he has.
I still remember listening to uh, The Real Slim Shady and Lose Yourself all the time. I think my sister was big into him, like in his early days as well.
8 Mile soundtrack was a masterpiece, in my opinion.
Yeah, it took me a long time to actually see that movie as well. But Tech Nine, I that name does sound familiar. Do you know
Tech
that one?
Nine's Tech Nine's actually featured. He's uh, technically under the. He could fit under the horrorcore general, like the genre. He's not rap.
I know
He's
a
like
little bit about that
horrorcore.
one too.
He would like fit with people like Esham, King Gordy. Um, yeah, he fits under that like edgy type of rap.
As you can see, guys, Jonas Smart goes really in depth with all these different genres. I'm so surface level; it's not even funny.
Oh, I
Um,
have a lot. One thing that you'll find interesting and prepare to facepalm. I actually saw Bad Bobby in her first ever concert, Daniel Bergoli, in her first live show, just
Oh
because I
my
wanted to see.
God, are you kidding?
I wanted to see if there was actual talent. I wanted to see what the big trend and hype was, and I actually saw it, and I was like, all right, this isn't complete shit. So I can respect it for what it is, but it was better than the stuff that you hear nowadays. Like
Mhm.
that compared to like, can we discuss how Cardi B's song won that music award?
Why are we even talking about Cardi B? I
I'm
mean,
just
it's
saying
I know
that
the last couple years she was like completely unescapable from pretty much every mainstream uh, music station, whether it's on the internet or on Spotify or YouTube or whatever. But no, no, go right ahead though.
I don't get how she fucking wins an award. Like, oh, people are going to say it's racist and sexist. No, I can respect female artists who actually put out good stuff.
Hmm.
Missy Elliott, Salt and Peppa, Little Kim, growing up, they were like decent music artists. Now it's
Oh,
like, cool, you have Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, cool. You have two very generic girls who don't look that different from like
WAP,
other rap artists.
WAP.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
won a
that
fucking
was the
award.
biggest trend of last year too.
Yeah, I don't get how that won an award.
Did you
Like
actually
it's
see the live performance of them as doing that song as well?
did they?
Yeah, they did. It was pretty much like softcore porn, and they did that on stage. Jesus Christ!
Like they're neither of them are talentless. And before people get all pissed and say, "Oh, it's because they're women or because they're black," no, it's not. It's because they suck. I don't care if
Yeah,
they're black,
absolutely.
Indian. I don't care if they're black, Indian, white, gay, lesbian, straight. I don't give a shit. If your music sucks, you suck. Like,
Yeah,
like they're just terrible.
and
Like,
that's what we can go into this as well because this is the kind of stuff that the music industry is really starting to like bank on. Not about the actual product, but the just the look and any sort of like special dance or special um, controversial thing that an artist can do. And it was something that I have never understood why they want to make bank on it. I don't know how controversy creates cash really is a thing in regards to this in this day and age.
I have no clue. I mean, I swear WWE's been talking with these fucking music industry because apparently you just need to look a certain way. You don't need to have talent. You don't need to know how to perform. You just look the part and you get hired and get a
And it doesn't
paycheck.
matter if you can sing well or not because they can just auto tune everything. Everything
Yeah.
can be on a computer, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Like going back to stuff that we grew up with and I completely forgot about it. Michael Jackson was another thing I listened to a lot growing up.
Oh, Michael Jackson was fantastic.
Hmm.
I know when he was on tour, at least the last tour he did, which was like in the late 90s, he wasn't able to actually sing. They had to like do lip sync and everything like that. But he had to do that because he was doing so much dancing during all of that. I'm pretty sure he gets completely out of breath when he does it. So it kind of made sense to do the lip sync. But if you're Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera or any of the teeny bopper stuff from the late 90s or early 2000s, or even nowadays when they have them do a lip sync, there's no reason for it at all.
Yeah, that's yeah. See, like back then you had people lip sync or do stage stuff because they actually had talent and it's like you couldn't do it. Nowadays, cool, we're gonna auto tune this shitty person and make them sound great so people buy their stuff. Or hey, we're gonna have like speaking of which, these halftime shows at the Super Bowl. Like
Yeah.
I remember looking through in the past couple months, there's been three or four total that have been good or worth watching. The rest are like I don't even remember. They're just talentless people. And it's like I think it was growing up, I was watching Angry Video Game Nerd, and they're like, yeah, you want halftime shows, you want Metallica, you want kick ass stuff. You don't want stuff
They
to
were
put you to sleep.
And they were doing it for a while, at least when they were doing like old school classic rock acts for a time being. I remember the very first Super Bowl halftime show was when YouTube was up. I'm not a big YouTube guy, but I will admit they did put on a memorable show, especially when with the aftermath of September 11th, and they had all the list of people that were killed in those attacks, and it was emotional. It was like a spiritual experience, and it was the kind of music that you kind of want to hear. That was very celebratory. It fit the mood so well.
Yeah, there was like
But
my
nowadays they're trying to get whoever is like the flavor of the month, and it just is so unmemorable, and it's like it leaves you wondering why did they even bring them out?
yeah, like Bruno Mars he's one of them, right? Who's been on and he's
Yeah.
I like one song by Bruno Mars. It's tolerable. The rest sucks.
Who's the one this past Super Bowl? It was the Blinded by the Light guy. I forget his name now.
Oh, I have no clue. I didn't
And
watch
I
it.
say, "Ooh, I'm blinded by the light." What's his name again?
I have no fucking clue. I didn't watch it.
Let me check that out for a second.
I just
Um,
remember like
the
hearing it
weekend.
happen.
Okay, it was the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't have
That's
known that at all.
I have people who just talk about the weekend all the time. They're like, they're the most influential and like the voice of our generation. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what you say about everybody, and half of them are talentless.
They always say that. I think that they always attach that to flavor of the months. Like I know Taylor Swift had it for a long time too. Like she was like the biggest thing, even though the stuff they put on radio for her, it was always like the same subject matter.
And that rip off Kelly Clarkson, that KT Tunstall and her Black Horse and Cherry Tree. I remember every time going to Blockbuster with my friend in the '90s, I kept hearing that song, and it was like just piercing my ears every time. And
Actually, I remember the first time I heard that was in some sort of Robin Williams movie. I think it was called Man of the Year, or something like that. And there was a scene where he was like dancing to it. It was bad.
the song
Uh,
sucks.
J Raz says, I don't get why do so many people have bad taste in music now. They're the reason why music is getting worse each year. It's because record industries are like pushing the talentless hacks, whether it's through YouTube and algorithms or on Spotify or it's the internet, man. The internet has just so much control over who is like spotlighted the hardest. And of course, they're using Spotify and seeing all the streaming numbers, and that's how Billboard is putting all this stuff front and center. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the music nowadays, most of it sucks. They just keep producing crap, and people are liking it. Like that. Who's
I
it?
don't get
Little.
why though. We were
Is it
raised on a lot of. We were raised, honestly, like you said, on bands and artists that at least knew how to play an instrument. But
like
now
who?
it's just auto tune. The computer's an instrument type of bullshit.
Like what's that? Is it Little Nas X or whoever the fuck does that Old Town Road song? Like
Yeah,
that's the big. I hate that song.
and I kind
Everyone's
of
like, it
yeah, I kind
sucks.
of heard some sort of defenses in that it's considered country because it has that badass um, feel to it. Honestly, and I never saw it. I think it started out as some sort of like internet video meme too.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that song sucks. It's horrible.
Yeah. Let me see what else I was um, really into. I mean, I already went through the indie stuff, which I mean, I can respect the fact that they can play instruments, but at the same time, it's like very slow and sometimes very moody at times, and it can get boring after a while. And I definitely flamed out of it for a while, for a long time. Do you remember when they were pushing like indie subgenres as well? This was like late 2000s and into the 2010s a little bit.
Somewhat, yeah, vaguely.
Sort of like the ho, hey, ho, I've been trying to do it right. That like shit like that.
I remember that. I actually, it just made me think of Weezer. I used to listen to them a lot.
Yeah, but Weezer was actual rock. They weren't doing bullshit like that, like lifeless shit. I actually did have been listening to stuff from their newer album when they're trying to be like nostalgic 80s rock, like arena rock stuff. I remember uh they tried to do like a Van Halen sounding song called what was it called? The Memory is by You or something like that. It was decent, and I know they've been pushing a song where they think that they're Spider-Man too. It was okay, but definitely not something like from their '90s work.
Yeah, the other thing is just going through the radio, like, other than a few classics like Ozzy Osbourne and
Mhm.
occasional one-hit wonders, it's like Ariana Grande and just shit.
Did you actually listen to the newest? I think it was. It wasn't MGK. Um, what was it? Was it Post? It was Post Malone. He had Ozzy Osbourne there. It was called "Take What You Want from Me." They've been playing that a lot on rock radio.
I
I
haven't
think,
listened to that.
why don't you take what you want from me? Take what you got from me. Take what you want and go, or something like that.
I never heard that. The only thing I heard by Post Malone is his song Sunflower, because that was remixed to hell.
No, I never heard that one.
Um, yeah, I don't know. There's just so much garbage. Like, it's terrible.
And it's awful because at least back in the day, they were they had a lot of crap, but there was also a lot of good shit on there too that they would push as well. But everything is just so lifeless, and they are putting so much emphasis on both pop music and with hip hop that it you kind of get tired of, and you wish that they would try different things, but it just never happens. Mostly
Yeah,
because
it's
they just care about the money, and that stuff is what gives them a profit. Where
yeah,
streaming
just
is now.
take talentless rappers, sexualize all the women, have them talk about hoes and say the N word every 5 seconds. Then with
And of course, the
country,
SJWs
it's
would say it's empowering.
oh yes,
Yep.
nowadays we can't say it's offensive. We have to say it's empowering and changing the women's revolution. There,
And it's
it's
so hypocritical too, because you'll you'll have you'll have them say that guys doing similar stuff would be bad, but when women do it, it's so empowering and so great. But when it comes to music, what do you say for stunts like that? Just in the musical context, when uh, female artists do it.
I mean, like I said, I can respect them. There's actually a metal band, an all metal band, Conquer Divide. I saw them at down east in Boston. They played with, I think it was Slaves, which is a metal band, but it's an all
Mhm.
female metal band. Really good. I have their first album that came out. Got the VIP, and I bought like 10 t-shirts at the live show. Really good metal band, like all female drummer, vocalist, everything. So there's like still stuff out there that's decent that females do. So it's like it's not hating on women as music artists. And like I mentioned, there's a lot of good stuff out there that was made. It's just rappers who are female rap about the same shit all the time. It's like, congrats. I wonder if you can make an entire rap album without talking about drugs, money, hoes, the N word. Like, can you make a actual talent song that tells a story? Because like growing up, like Eazy-E, Biggie, Tupac, their music told stories. It had like a purpose. Like it's actually had value to it. It's not, oh, these bitches took my money. It's like, okay, well that's great. Shut the hell
Oh,
up and
don't
go make
remind me
more.
of that song too.
Yeah,
Bitch
like
better got my money.
yeah, there's just so much bad music and like it just all seems the same. It literally just seems like the same music's being produced, just repackaged and reskinned. So it's like, hey, we'll take this country artist who people already know, we'll make it a female this time, and we'll slightly give him an accent.
Yes, Ween is pretty good. I've heard a couple albums from them. Of course, I will never not say that Ocean Man that I first heard on the SpongeBob movie is like a gem from the 90s as well.
But like, I don't know, it's just everything is, I don't even know how to explain it. It's lifeless. It's like dead. It's just words. It's no longer has like emotion or feeling or like a point to it. It's like, cool, you rapped about this, and you're either like angrily rapping about something, or it's so filled with sound effects, auto tune, and gunshots. It's like, okay, your rap song. What was the point
All
of
I
that?
want to do is go and then and then and then take your money. All I want to do is remember that
Yeah,
one?
yeah, I remember that. I don't know. So much stuff just sucks. I know that's not me being old. That's not me being a boomer. I don't even
You
classify
kids
as
get
that.
off my
But
lawn.
yeah, exactly. Like it's just it sucks. Like, and I'm sure kids growing up will probably think their stuff's good, and then like a little bit the newer stuff sucks.
Well, can
But
you imagine if we get older and we see someone that's not exactly our age, maybe like 10 years younger than we are, saying that Justin Bieber is the best oldies singer of all time?
yeah, he's a piece of work. He sucks.
I
Um,
will. Yeah, go ahead.
he's just terrible. I listened to a couple songs, and there's been so many shows that have made fun of him. What was it? I think it was Family Guy or some show.
Every sort of comedy show has taken a jab at him. But
Yeah,
yeah, Family Guy.
yeah. He's a. I think it was like Peter or someone was addicted to like his song, and he's just sucks.
I still remember South Park making fun of him too when they had Cthulhu go to his show, and then they grabbed Justin Bieber and then just
That was great.
like that.
But
It was
yeah,
like
like
some sort of
it's
coon
not
in
me
front of
being
him.
old. It's not me being like a cranky old man on my lawn. It's just the talent's gone. Like there's some good stuff that comes out, but
Yeah.
say out of the hundreds of songs that are produced a week, it's like fucking going through an entire hay bale and trying to find an $100 bill. Like you're gonna find something good in there, but it's not like our day growing up.
It's
Like,
not pushed.
oh yeah,
It's honestly
it's
not pushed enough.
like growing up, I was like, ooh, do I want to listen to Green Day? Do I want to listen to Mudvayne? Do I want to listen to
Uh,
ACDC? Do I want to listen
Mudvayne, I
to
love that one.
Linkin Park? Do I want to listen to like it was like you couldn't decide what to listen to. And nowadays, I've spent entire hour car rides flipping through the radio, and I've heard two songs that I liked, and the rest of the time, advertisement, advertisement, shit song, advertisement, another shit song, and it's like it just sucks.
Before we move on, I do want to go back to women in music for a while. So back in 2014, I went to see Guns N' Roses with a friend of mine over in Worcester, and I remember the opening act was the Pretty Reckless. You know that band, right?
I've heard of them, yeah.
The lead singer is Cindy Lou Who from the Grinch movie.
Oh Jesus Christ, yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
she's now a rock singer. And honestly, she was pretty good. Honestly, she had stage presence. Her voice sounded great. I was truly impressed by them. I wouldn't say I became a big fan of theirs, but I did go back and listen to their stuff a little bit afterwards. It was nice. I know that the rock station I listen to will play their stuff from time to time, and it is what it is with that one. But yeah, I'm not saying that all women can't go into the rock genre at all. There's some great female rock singers out there too. Some that get pushed, like the Pretty Reckless or Hailstrom, and bands like those. But it is just far and few in between. But they're there, and some of them are very talented. I don't know
Yeah,
if we should talk about like WWE music for this one, or we should save that for another video. But I think that WWE music also played a big role, a little bit, especially since we're wrestling fans too.
Oh yeah, Jim Johnson.
Oh yeah. I remember actually seeing an interview of his, a little bit of it, not the whole thing. And he went into a little bit, and he seemed like a really nice guy to talk to. A very great conversation. I'll have to see the rest of it too. But I
Yeah,
don't know. Do you want to save that topic for another video as well, or do you want to go into it right now?
we could say that for another because we can just go
Okay.
through like all the classics and like all the good ones and
Okay, J-Rad, the reason why bad music is being released so much because it's easy to make. Good music takes time to make, and that just goes to another thing that maybe our attention span is just getting shorter, and we're craving product much more quickly too. Could that be another reason why music sucks? Because they're trying to force so much in such a short period of time.
maybe I don't know, I feel like I'll listen to stuff and then I only have like a tolerance for it. Like if it doesn't sound good within the first bit of the song, I just switch it because I can just tell. Or like when you have this really badass riff or like song that starts off and you're like, oh, this is a sick beat, or this is like going to be a really great song, and then it just immediately goes to some like whiny, nasally 13-year-old emo boy with like whiny vocals, and it's like, great, this started off great, and now it's just complete crap.
Either whiny vocals or just screaming for no reason. Were you a Slipknot fan at any point?
I listen to them a little. I don't like that. Or Lamb of God. I think Lamb of God sucks. Kiss sucks.
Never God, oh my god, that was
I don't
another
like.
band I remember getting introduced to from Guitar Hero. "Laid to Rest" was one of the tracks on that game, which was decent, but I tried to look at other songs and it just wasn't that great. All right,
Yeah,
I think we've gone over most stuff. Do you have any final words?
not really. Just I'm hoping stuff gets better. I know it won't, but I can still hope.
Yeah. And yes, Bobby Hill, I was definitely amongst their best. I had a phase myself. But yeah, I think I'll echo that sentiment, but I think it's too late. I mean, instant gratification, I think, really ruined it. The internet ruined it. I think we're at that point where you really need to dig to find something that you really will enjoy. So that's about it. We'll
And
wrap it
if
up right
if
there. Oh,
people
go ahead.
have if people have suggestions or want us to do reviews or one of us individually to do a review, I pretty much listen to every genre so I can give everything a fair analysis.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I'm down to discuss stuff like if people want to go through like a Beatles album, like best to worst, or like a discuss like maybe the top five greatest pop or rock influences. I'm down to do shit like that. But
Oh yeah, absolutely. We can do like album reviews. We can watch like silly music videos or anything like that and give our thoughts on them as well. I mean, we can do pretty much anything. I think that we're definitely good enough music critics that we can do that sort of shit, honestly. But yeah, I think that's it for the music stuff. I also want to let any of my subscribers that uh, aren't in the know that I also have a Twitter account. It's just Spike Shooter. You can sub to me. I usually just put in like random comments and then post links to these things, but I'm trying to do a little bit better on that end. So if you don't know, just go on Twitter, type in Spike Shooter, sub to me, and that'll be it. We should have our next video up on Saturday, I believe, if you're going to be around for that.
I think I'll be around in the evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I will do that for the next time we go on. But until then, this is Spike and Jonas Mark saying take care for now.